For this video, I'm going to demonstrate our DomStop500 in action. What this is a setup jig that allows you to utilize your Festool guide rail to make repeat mid-panel mortises on your project panels. That's very easy and quick to use and quick to take off. What we have here is the one for the DF500. We have a version for the DF700 as well, which is slightly different. Now this version will work with the Festool guide rail. We also have a version for the Makita guide rail, as well as other versions in the works for additional guide rails. So what I'm going to do, I started off by throwing in some of our dog fences on my MFT3 to act as a reference for this panel. You could just as easily use dogs, but I went this route instead. With the center line of the panel under my guide rail, I pulled a reference mark to the side of the guide rail using my Paolini Pocket rule and a pencil. That'll be used for positioning the DomStop later on. Next, I slid two of our StoryStops and the DomStop into the guide rail and locked them down. Now it does not matter where they're locked down now, just as long as you can use the face of the stops to reference the line you drew on your panel when you go to line everything up. With the stops locked down, move the panel so the reference line on it lines up with the face of the stops. Be sure to keep your panel against your supports when you're doing this too. With that all said and done, I unlocked all the stops, repositioned the DomStop so the reference line on it and the guide rail were lined up to each other, and then I locked it into place. I then positioned the domino on one side of the DomStop, moved the StoryStop to the side of the domino, and locked it down. I then repeated that process on the other side. Now here's how the setup looks before I cut the actual mortises into the panel. You can see the face of the stops are in line with our reference mark on our panel. That's exactly what you want to see. You can see with the stop removed how the face of the domino is flush against the guide rail, and this edge here is on our reference line. That's a reference for where the center of our mortise will be going. Looks like it'll cut right on that line, but there's only one way to find out. Now I wanted to give you a sense of how long this actually took me. So after that last row was cut, I flipped that same piece over, added those same lines, and without moving the stops, I made 12 mortises straight through. It's not a race, but I wanted to see how quick a novice domino user could accomplish this task. And when you're done, you can convert your guide rail from a story stick back to a guide rail in less than 10 seconds. So with this demo coming to an end, I hope I've shown you how easy our DomStops are to use. I want to reiterate that you do not need an MFT3 to do what I did. As you can see here, I just have a guide rail and I've got 2 StoryStops and 2 DomStops. spaced out how I would want them on a panel. I was going to show that in action, but the bank did not approve my loan for the plywood. Side note, if you don't care for the knobs that we include with the DomStop, you can use the knob and the bolt on your limit stop. So if you prefer that look and feel, it's an easy swap. So I also want to thank Kirk for letting me borrow his DF500, because without that I would not have been able to do this demo. So if I failed to mention something that you want to know more about, please leave your comment down below. I'd like to thank you for watching, and until next time, take care and have a good one.